Welcome to In the Zone. I'm Travis Schuster, your host. Starting with our Super Sports segment, Iowa's Caitlin Clark has broken the NCAA women's all-time points record last Thursday, February 15th. She passed the previous record of 3,527 held by Kelsey Plum against the Michigan Wolverines in front of a sold-out crowd at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Right now, Caitlin Clark stands at 3,569 points at 126 games, and she said, quote, "I'm really grateful, but we got a lot more winning to do, so let's go," end quote. In response to her record-breaking Division I basketball career, Iowa is a favorite competitor for the women's Final Four this year, and In the Zone looks forward to what else Caitlin Clark does to push the limits of collegiate basketball. The Great American Race, the 2024 Daytona 500, took place this Monday, February 19th. After being rained out on Sunday, Hendrick Motorsports driver William Byron won his first ever Daytona 500 with his 11th career Cup Series win. The action started just 5 laps in. Racing 3 wide when John Hunter Nemechek on the outside lane lost control and came down on Harrison Burton on the inside lane, which turned Harrison Burton right in front of Carson Hocevar, causing the two to spin out, causing trouble for other drivers in the field, most notably affecting 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson, which affected him most of the race, and he couldn't really never recover. After that, it was pretty clean racing. There are a lot of green flag laps, with Hendrick Motorsports driver Chase Elliott winning stage 1 after the entire Hendrick team teamed up against Kyle Larson on the outside lane, Kyle Busch on the outside lane, with all 4 of them passing Kyle Busch on the outside lane, giving Chase Elliott the win for that stage. Stage 2, the Penske Fords made their presence known. Once again, Kyle Busch was in the lead when during the final lap of the stage, Ryan Blaney gave a push to his teammate Austin Cindric on the inside, giving Cindric the lead. And just what it looked like Austin Cindric was going to win the stage, Ryan Blaney tucked right below him to steal the points. He side draft off of him and then steal the win and steal the stage points. Then later in the race, when it looked like there would be no big wrecks, with 9 laps to go, the big one happened. Racing 3 wide when the inside lane started to get momentum when Alex Bowman got a little too aggressive pushing his teammate William Byron, who got loose, tagging Brad Keselowski, turning Brad Keselowski on the inside, and then getting Brad Keselowski on the inside. At the same time, Austin Cindric was pushing Todd Gilliland, turning Todd Gilliland on the inside, forcing Keselowski and Todd Gilliland to collect about half the field behind them. Something to note, though, William Byron and Alex Bowman escaped unharmed after causing the wreck. The final wreck happened that would determine the winner of the race when the leader, William Byron, took the white flag with 3 drivers involved in this wreck: Austin Cindric, Corey LaJoie, and Ross Chastain. Racing 2 wide with LaJoie all over the back of Cindric, turning him loose, as at the same time Byron was on the inside, who moved up on Ross Chastain on the outside. Well, Ross Chastain wasn't going to take that, so Ross Chastain tried to move down on the inside, trying to create a 3-wide race. He said there was a little gap there between him and Austin Cindric. However, as Austin Cindric was moving up the track, Ross Chastain came down on him, forcing the two to collide, to touch each other, which forced each other to spin out, which made NASCAR throw the caution, giving William Byron the win. After race, Ross Chastain said, "I took the gap. I don't apologize for that." All this setting the field for what should be a great season. If there's no doubt, Ross Chastain will definitely make his presence felt this season, just like he made his presence felt last season. Romanian tennis stars Simona Halep is pursuing legal action against a Canadian health supplement company, Quantum Nutrition. She submitted a legal complaint to the New York State Supreme Court that Quantum Nutrition's supplements were contaminated with roxadustat, a substance listed on the World Anti-Doping Agency prohibited list. Halep is currently serving a 4-year doping ban after testing positive for the substance at the 2022 U.S. Open, and states that she had not taken any banned substances knowingly. The supplement's label did not list roxadustat. Quantum Nutrition founder John Quavos has disputed the claims, saying they have served hundreds of athletes with a 100% clean record, end quote. In regards to drug testing, Simona Halep's suspension lasts until October 6, 2026. Now let's get into some discussion with the NBA All-Star Weekend behind us, some shifts in the college basketball rankings, and MLB spring training right around the corner. Beginning with this week, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. In the Zone starts right now. I'm now joined by Zach Humphreys and Ashton to discuss the latest in college the college basketball scene. There have been some major upsets this past week, with South Carolina dropping back-to-back games. The number one UConn Huskies falling to number 15 Creighton, Utah State, overcoming number 19 San Diego, and other conference matchups resulted in top seeds falling in the top rankings. Ashton, what are your thoughts on this past week in March Madness?
Well,
with March Madness less than a month away.
Well, in my opinion, I would say the March Madness, it's going to be a tough matchup. I'd say between like Villanova and Michigan State, I feel like they're going to do well this year.
And then speaking of teams that we think are going to do well this year, surprisingly, I thought UConn was this powerhouse. They were going to make it throughout the remainder of the season without any hiccups or whatnot. But they ended
they lost.
They lost last night. Believe it or not. And it wasn't. When I was watching the game, it wasn't even like it was like a close game. Man, Creighton got on them early, and they never even looked back. It was just this dominant showing. Creighton was making it rain from three. They were rarely ever missing, and UConn just didn't have a response to it at all. And then, like you said, the Utah State, San Diego State is just not looking like they have been in the past. So, I mean, with all of this happening, and with March Madness, like you said, less than a month away, like Ashton said, I think that this is going to look like a really nice March Madness. I mean, Ashton, what do you think about the UConn game? They really lost last night.
Yeah, they lost big time to Creighton, but. I think UConn will be pretty tough with their decision making and how they're gonna move forward and get some more points. Like these people here that have been doing pretty well.
Do you think this game is gonna set them back, or do you think they're just gonna bounce back and go right into March with pretty good success?
Well, I think they're gonna bounce back. That's what I think. I think they're gonna bounce back to probably all the way to the finals. I feel like.
You think they're going to make it to the championship?
I think they're going to make it to the championship. I think it's going to be Villanova and UConn.
Okay.
And yeah.
Where do you have UConn going? What round exit do you think they're going to be?
I would really like to say that UConn is looking like a real good team. There's a reason why they were number one, and there's a reason why this past week everybody in the Associated Press voted for them to be the number one. There was no other team in contention. But now, after they fell to Creighton, they did lose away. It wasn't like it was a home game for UConn. I believe that UConn will bounce back, like you said, and I think that UConn will continue to take this throughout March. I see a Final Four appearance, but from there it gets a bit shaky.
Okay, so Final Four and championship game. All right. Looking more towards the success across the nation, there have been some teams that have started to make a lot of noise towards the tail end of this season, with the obvious being the UConn Huskies, despite losing their most previous game, which we just talked about. Also, the St. Mary's Gales, how do I say that? Gales? Who have yet to lose a game in 2024, along with other teams who have caught fire, like Duke and Florida. Zach, do any of these teams stand a chance against the Huskies? And will some of these teams continue their success?
Well, compared to the Huskies, there's only a few teams that I can say, will these teams win in a 7-game series, like as if it was the NBA? Probably not, no. But if it was a one for all in the March Madness, there are a few teams that I'd say are upset watch. One is Duke. Duke, what they've shown this past few months is that they're their upcoming schedule is not difficult besides North Carolina, of course, at the end of the season. And also, Duke just has a lot of scorers and shooters. It's not like they rely on one guy or the other. They have a collective, well-rounded team. And like you said, the St. Mary's Gales, man, they're up. They've got, I believe they won their 14th straight last night. It may be 13th or 14th straight game. They have yet to lose this year, which is mind-boggling because it's almost the end of February. I mean, they are looking really nice. Ashton, what do you think?
Well, like what Zach said, I think Duke was doing really well this season. Like they've been doing really well, but I think that UConn is gonna have a tough matchup with Duke because Duke has a lot of shooters, and also they have like a lot of big men that can block and stuff. But I think UConn might win overall because of how young. Because of their players that are young and very athletic.
I'm going to throw this question out to both of you. What can teams take from the Creighton game to try to look for weaknesses in UConn?
I'd have to say the one thing that you have to do is you can't come out slow. Well, the one thing I liked about it was Creighton was very fast-paced. They were able to get down the court when they were up in numbers, and they were able to get the shot up quick. They let their offense real quick settle in, or if they slowly took it down, they let it work. They trusted their offense, they trusted their shooters, and it worked out in the end.
So you say just like get jump on them early.
I'd say you got to get on them early, or else it's too late. But if you give them a chance, if you even give them a chance when you're about 5-10 minutes just into the first half, you just about lost it.
On the contrary, there have been some teams on the fence fighting to survive February, fighting to make it to March. When looking ahead to March, Ole Miss is the last team in, barely got past Missouri after dropping 3 straight games, along with Providence and Utah currently being the first 2 out. Zach, will there be some changes within the first 4 out and the last 4 in?
I believe that there's definitely going to be some changes because as of late, a team like Ole Miss that is the last team in, at the moment, they are the last team into the tournament. They have really not looked like a well-rounded team this past few weeks. I mean, like you said, they dropped 3 straight. They just barely got past Missouri. This team is just really kind of struggling at the moment, and it's not even like their schedule is getting any easier. They're going through the toughest part of their schedule, because there are a lot of SEC teams that are within that top 25. And, I mean, they're going to have to go up against South Carolina, Alabama, and even Mississippi State. They're not ranked, but they are definitely a team you got to keep an eye on. They are an upset watch no matter who they're playing because they're just, once again, such a well-rounded team. Matthew Murrell, who is on this team, is also like he's a great player. But also this offense just can't keep circling around one player. That's the problem. Same thing with Providence too. They really focus around one player. And also Ole Miss just has to get better on the defensive side of the ball. They rank 150th in defensive efficiency. It's not good. Penn State's better than them. And where's Penn State when we're talking about March Madness?
Yeah,
right?
Penn State's nowhere to be found.
Yeah. What about you, Ashton? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I would have to agree and probably disagree because of Ole Miss is not looking really good this year because of the defense and they only rely on one player. Like I feel like that's very terrible to like think of one player as the best player on the team. But yeah, like you said about Penn State, well. To me, I don't like Penn State, but Penn State is it's a good team, but but there's nowhere to be found. So yeah.
Exactly, which makes it even worse if Ole Miss is right there with them.
Yeah.
And Penn State basketball. I love Penn State, but man, the basketball team is just not as good when you compare it to a team like Ole Miss is supposed to be when we get to the tournament.
So do you think if Ole Miss makes it, do you think it's like a first-round exit?
We still do have a month until we get to the nitty-gritty, but I say depending how the rankings go, I mean, at this point, they're going to play number 1 seed. And if you compare it to a team like UConn, a team like Arizona, they are not going to stand a chance. It is just, I would take the spread at plus 20.5. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but Ole Miss, it would be awesome to get into the tourney. They're not making it out of the round of 64.
That's even if they make it.
Exactly.
We now send it over to Elizabeth Wicht for the latest in Marauder athletics. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Travis. This week in Ville Sports started out strong on Friday night, with the men's and women's tennis teams both playing against Salem University for their first matches of 2024. The men won 2 of their 3 doubles matches and 5 of their 6 singles, increasing the record to 3-0, and the women also improved to a record of 2-1. Also this Friday, the wrestling team took to the mat against Franklin and Marshall in hopes of taking home the traveling trophy known as the Rupp Cup, but unfortunately, missing 4 of their starters due to injuries, the Marauders suffered an embarrassing 38-7 loss against F&M, giving up the cup for the 4th year in a row. The wrestling team will now have a break and a chance to prepare for the Super Region 1 Championships in 2 weeks. On the basketball court, the women's team beat Mansfield Mounties 85-75, which now gives the Marauders a half-game lead and sole possession of 4th place in the East Division. Leading the team in scoring their last 2 games, Jabria Ingram was named PSAC East Athlete of the Week, alongside Jaden Faulkner of the men's team, who is being recognized for the 6th time in his career. He and the rest of the men's team proved victorious over Mansfield this weekend as well, scoring 22 points in overtime and ultimately winning 98-91. Other notable Marauder athletes include Chanel Hercules, who broke the school long jump record this week, beating the previous 2011 record by 2 inches. And after a strong start last week, the Millersville baseball team struggled coming into the weekend, losing to Malloy on Saturday, but they pulled through with a huge 15-1 win against Felician on Sunday afternoon. That's it for this week in Ville Sports. We'll be sure to follow up on these stories and more in the coming weeks. Back to you, Travis.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We are now turning our attention to the NBA All-Star Weekend, which was full of events, including the legendary Sabrina Ionescu versus Stephen Curry three-point contest, the Rising Stars game, and the infamous dunk contest. This year's dunk contest featured Jaylen Brown, Jamie Jaquez Jr., Jacob Toppin, and defending champion Mac McClung. As many predicted, Mac McClung would defend his title and reign as the dunk contest winner. Although there was a lot of buzz, which seemed to catch wind every year regarding the dunk contest and its lack of impressive dunks, Ashton, did you believe the dunk contest was a letdown, or do you think it lived up to the hype?
I think it lived up to the hype because clearly Mac McClung won.
Yeah.
And the thing that I liked, I liked Mac McClung, but the thing, I was really surprised how he was for in the finals with Jaylen Brown. Because the Celtics are a tough team right now this season. And I think they're going to make it all the way to the finals, the Celtics. But I do think that Mac McClung was to me, in my opinion, was the best person to get the dunk contest done.
I totally agree. I mean, Mac McClung was just on a different level compared to everybody else that was there. I mean, like all of Mac McClung's dunks had me sitting back in my chair like, oh my God, how do you even do that, right?
Yeah.
And then even with that, Jacob Toppin had some great dunks. Jamie Jaquez had some great dunks. The one problem that I had with the dunk contest was, how did Jaylen Brown make it in? I mean, when you have Jamie Jaquez's first dunk, the first dunk of the entire contest, he dunked over Shaq. Okay, that's impressive. Then Mac McClung later on dunked over a guy sitting on someone else's shoulders. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Jaylen Brown dunked over a dude sitting down in a chair, and he's already like 5'5" at that point, at best. So I don't understand. I felt like there was a lot of hype towards Jaylen Brown's dunks just because of the name aspect, I think. When of course there's the issue of getting big stars involved with the dunk contest. And when you get a star like Jaylen Brown in it, I feel like they're going to push for him to make it through. Although I'm not speculating nothing. I'm just saying I was not impressed by his dunks that well.
But you think the person who won
I believe Mac McClung.
You think he's like the best in the league?
I believe he was jumping out of the stadium at that point. There were times when I was curious as to how a human could even jump up that high, because I swear his head was going to hit the rim every single time. And it's not like he's like 7 foot tall, dude. He's like maybe 6'3", 6'4", maybe even 6'2". Him jumping that high and doing all the things that he does in the air is
it's pretty
so
impressive. That's pretty
to me.
impressive for a guy who's not like, a tower at 7 feet, 6'2". It's like right where I am.
Exactly. And then he
And I
even entered the
can't
dunk contest by also dunking over Shaquille O'Neal. And it wasn't like he pushed off him. Just grabbed the ball, did a little same. It was awesome to watch him. I'll say that.
Following the events of this year's NBA All-Star Weekend came the 73rd annual All-Star Game with the world's best athletes putting on a show for a fan-filled Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Despite Karl Anthony Towns coming off the bench and scoring 50 points, and young Eastern squad came through with the victory, beating the LeBron-led Western Conference 211-286. The game was filled with a lot of deep threes and a lot of dunks galore, which started the conversation about changing the NBA All-Star Game to make it more appealing to watch. Zach, do you believe something needs to be done to change the NBA All-Star Game?
This is another one of those rumors, like you said earlier, where I feel like it always seems to catch wind after the All-Star Weekend, where people just are not really happy with watching the All-Star Game. I mean, to be honest, I watched 5 minutes of highlights because that's all I need to watch. I watched Damian Lillard hit 2 half-court shots like it's nothing. I saw a few dunks, and that's about it because there's nothing really exciting for me to watch.
Ashton, was the NBA All-Star Game exciting for you?
I think it was the best All-Star game. That's what I think because I would agree with what Zach said of how Damian Lillard hit those 2 half-court shots and was a bit off that he got the MVP. I think the MVP should have been Halliburton. Halliburton was crazy. He's been doing really good this year. His team's looking good this year, and I really liked the aspect of the game. Like it kept going on, and there was a few dunks that were kind of a little bit edgy, but it was still a good game.
Now, Zach, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Now, he's like, I'm not a basketball guy. I'm a hockey guy. And the NHL All-Star Game had to change it after their 2015 NHL All-Star Game because it was a train wreck to watch. Because no one tried. Now, is it like the same thing? Like, did the athletes not try to win, so everyone should scoring at will?
And what they did one year was for the Kobe year where they actually made it competitive in the end. Where this year it was still the dunk, it was still the free layups and dunks from tip-off all the way to the final buzzer. They don't try and it's not fun. So I've noticed that the viewership, because I researched the viewership of the entire NBA All-Star Weekend has gone down on a steady progress throughout for the past few years. So I feel like there's a few things that they need to change. Like a few things that I hear is a one-on-one King of the Hill style. I feel like that would be awesome to watch because it's also competitive for the players. And also, I think they should put the three-point contest at the last because the dunk contest is tough to really live up to after all the years. And three-point contest is always exciting.
Now, do they have is there any incentive to win the All-Star Game? Like, is there like any cash prize or anything?
They each get I believe they upped it to $100,000 to each of the winning players. But the only issue with that is now all the star players are making roughly $40 million.
It's chump change to them.
Exactly. So either they up the incentive or they change up some of the games.
All right. Spring training games start this week, and there was a lot of action this offseason, but also a lack of action, mainly Phillies. What? With many solid free agents still available regardless, there's a lot to look forward to from these teams as the games begin. Ashton, what teams are you most interested in watching for the spring training season?
The Phillies. I'm a Phillies fan, but I want them to make it all the way to the World Series.
I think they can.
Yeah, I think they can. They actually got a lot of good players on their team now. They got Whit Merrifield. They got that new pitcher. I think they're going to be good this year. And I think I'm also a Dodgers fan, but I'm a Phillies and Dodgers fan, which is hard to, pick from. But I think the Phillies are going to make it to the World Series. But the Dodgers, I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to be tough this year because they.
Well, of course, because they signed all the big players.
Yeah, they got that pitcher.
Yeah, they got that pitcher.
They got
and then,
Shohei.
Shohei
They got
Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, I think they're going to be really good. But also thinking of Shohei playing against Mike Trout, I think that's going to be a pretty interesting game.
Now, who do you think? Have you given any thought to who you think the Phillies are going to use as a closer this season?
Yeah. I think the Phillies are going to make it to the closure.
Well, who do you think is going to be like the closing since Craig Kimball's gone? Who do you think is going to be the main closer now for the ninth innings?
Well, to me, I don't like Craig Kimball.
Yeah. No one in Philadelphia likes him.
Yeah, because he makes that weird pose. That weird like yeah. But I think the closer might be I don't know who the closer's going to be, but they have some really good closers. To me, I'm a big
someone better.
I'm a big Jose Alvarado fan, so I think
Alvarado,
Jose's going to
yeah.
do it.
He wouldn't be a bad closer.
I also want to throw out, because you guys hinted towards it, the Phillies play Saturday at 1 for everybody watching, and Mike Trout plays at 3:10. Just feel like I have to throw that out there, because I'm also so excited for spring training. I can't wait. I mean, there's a game tomorrow where we actually get to see Shohei in Dodger blue, which is disgusting to see.
Yeah.
But also, I haven't looked to see if Yamamoto will also be on the bump as well, because I would love to see him throw a few innings as well, see what he looks like and how he is playing in Dodger blue. And like you said, I feel like, especially with the way the Philly fans are looking at it, the Phillies have some pretty high expectations coming into this. Although they're, like you said, they haven't made the most moves.
I think I don't know. My expectations for them is kind of like have gone down a little bit, just because they haven't made a whole lot of moves. They still need a new closer pitcher. They could probably use another starter.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is they're still spending over the luxury tax, and I don't know how much more money John Middleton wants to put up.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you got a name like Blake Snell still on the free agency market, there's no way that you can put out enough money to get him when you have teams like New York.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Anaheim Angels, they're all, I would say, willing to throw money at him. It would be great to get him in there with Nola and Wheeler, but I see it as a
I mean,
struggle.
we could just mortgage our future like the Dodgers have. I mean, honestly, say the Dodgers don't win the World Series within the next 10 years, and then they're start paying the back end of Ohtani's contract through like after 2030, they're just like, the Dodgers are going to be horrible.
They're
going to
be bankrupt. Yeah.
They're like, that's just funny. I don't know. That's just funny. You can't mortgage. I don't know. It's not a good move to mortgage your entire future on a few players. It's not great. I think they'll win. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they'll win. I think more than any sport, baseball is a sport where the team, I know like Moneyball like proved this wrong, but like the team that spends the most money on like the best players in the world, they're probably going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're going to win at least once.
And I mean, even mentioning how Shohei he's been battling some injuries. I mean, he just got Tommy John, but it's
He still can't pitch, right, for like another year.
he still cannot pitch. Yeah, but I did see in his first live AB in LA, he hit a home run.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Well, yeah. Well, Ohtani hits a home run. Damn, I am shocked at that.
I don't know. Ohtani's really good.
He is.
Really good.
That'll do it for this episode of In the Zone. For Zach Humphreys, Ashton Lagos, Elizabeth Wicht, and the entire In the Zone crew, I'm Travis Schuster. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time right here on In the Zone.